For more than 5 decades, John Travolta has lived under a spotlight few people ever experience. Every success, belief, and personal choice has been examined, debated, and often misunderstood. Fame gave him global admiration, but it also placed his private life under permanent observation. As audiences celebrated his talent, curiosity followed him into areas far beyond film, including his spiritual beliefs, family life, and personal losses. Over time, these layers merged into a public narrative that was often simplified or distorted. Travolta rarely responded directly, choosing instead to let his work speak. Yet silence does not mean absence of thought. It often reflects caution, reflection, and restraint. His journey is not defined by a single controversy or triumph, but by decades of navigating pressure with composure. To understand his story fully, one must step away from headlines and examine how belief, grief, and resilience shaped a man learning to live with both admiration and scrutiny. Seeking meaning beyond fame. In the mid-1970s, as his career began accelerating, John Travolta found himself searching for grounding beyond Hollywood's chaos. Like many young performers facing sudden success, he explored philosophies promising clarity and structure. During this period, he encountered Scientology through reading Dianetics, which emphasized self-understanding and personal responsibility. Travolta has publicly stated that these ideas helped him manage stress and remain focused during intense professional pressure. Rather than presenting himself as a spokesperson, he described the experience as personal, offering tools he found useful at that stage of life. Over time, his involvement became a frequent topic of public discussion, often framed without nuance. Travolta consistently avoided confrontational commentary, emphasizing that belief is deeply individual. His approach reflected a desire to separate spiritual exploration from public spectacle. Whether praised or criticized, his position remained measured, focused on personal growth rather than public debate. Navigating public debate with restraint. As public conversation around Scientology intensified over the years, John Travolta faced repeated questions about his association. He acknowledged awareness of criticism while emphasizing that no belief system is experienced the same way by every individual. Rather than issuing dramatic declarations, he chose careful language, stressing personal responsibility and independent thinking. In interviews, Travolta highlighted the importance of education, awareness, and personal choice when engaging with any philosophy. This measured stance frustrated critics seeking decisive statements, yet it reflected his broader approach to life. Travolta avoided framing himself as a victim or authority, instead focusing on self-reflection. His silence was not absence, but intention. By refusing to sensationalize his experiences, he maintained control over his narrative. In an industry that rewards extremes, his restraint stood out. It illustrated a man unwilling to reduce complex personal experiences into headlines designed for momentary reaction, rather than long-term understanding. Loss that redefined everything. No public discussion shaped John Travolta more deeply than personal tragedy. In 2009, he faced the unimaginable loss of his son, Jet. The grief reshaped his priorities instantly. Career ambition faded as fatherhood and healing took center stage. Travolta spoke rarely about the experience, but when he did, his words carried quiet honesty rather than drama. Over the years, he has shared heartfelt tributes, emphasizing love rather than pain. Grief taught him restraint, compassion, and presence. A decade later, loss returned when his wife, Kelly Preston, passed away after a private illness. Her death marked another profound turning point. Travolta stepped away from public life, focusing fully on family. These moments redefined success for him. Awards and recognition became secondary to stability, memory, and care. Loss did not harden him, it softened his outlook, reshaping how he chose to live and speak. Fame, rumors, and personal boundaries. Living in the public eye inevitably brings speculation, and John Travolta's career was no exception. Over the years, rumors and controversies emerged, often amplified beyond their substance. Travolta consistently denied allegations that misrepresented him, choosing not to engage in prolonged public defense. His approach emphasized dignity over reaction. Rather than allowing speculation to dominate his identity, he maintained focus on family and work. At times, silence was interpreted as vulnerability, yet it was also strength. He demonstrated that not every accusation requires performance. Occasional missteps, such as public gaffes or awkward moments, were met with humility and humor, revealing a man comfortable enough to acknowledge imperfection. These moments humanized him to newer generations. Instead of eroding his legacy, they softened it. Travolta's ability to withstand scrutiny without bitterness reflects emotional maturity built through decades of both admiration and adversity, the foundations of his artistic spirit. Long before global fame, John Travolta was simply a boy drawn to performance. Born in 1954 in New Jersey, he grew up in a household where creativity and discipline coexisted. His mother, a former performer and drama teacher, nurtured his love for acting through family plays and encouragement. His father provided balance, emphasizing reliability and structure. These influences shaped Travolta's work ethic early. At 16, he left high school to pursue acting in New York, accepting uncertainty as the cost of purpose. He worked tirelessly in theater, commercials, and minor roles, learning resilience before recognition arrived. Another passion emerged alongside acting: aviation. Flying offered control, focus, and escape. These early foundations mattered. They created a performer who understood discipline behind art and calm behind chaos. Without this grounding, his later success and survival might have unfolded very differently. Career of reinvention. John Travolta's career is defined not by uninterrupted success, but by reinvention. After becoming a cultural icon through Saturday Night Fever and Grease, the 1980s challenged his momentum. Projects failed, criticism grew, and public perception shifted. Rather than resisting change, Travolta adapted. The turning point came with Pulp Fiction, which reintroduced him as an actor of depth rather than nostalgia. From there, he embraced variety, balancing commercial appeal with character-driven roles. Performances in Face/Off, Get Shorty, and later Hairspray demonstrated versatility and self-awareness. He no longer chased dominance, choosing instead to remain relevant on his own terms. Reinvention became a pattern rather than a rescue. Travolta's career proves longevity is built through humility and risk. Each phase carried lessons, allowing him to evolve rather than cling to an image frozen in time. Fatherhood as his true center today. John Travolta defines himself first as a father. His relationship with his children, Ella and Benjamin, reflects intentional presence rather than performance. He supports Ella's creative ambitions while allowing her independence, offering guidance without control. With Benjamin, he emphasizes curiosity, patience, and exploration. Family routines anchor his daily life, providing stability away from Hollywood's demands. Travolta has spoken about the importance of listening, consistency, and emotional availability. Fatherhood reshaped how he measures success. Protection matters more than publicity. Love matters more than legacy. His public posts reveal affection without exhibition, moments shared without spectacle. These choices reflect lessons learned through loss and reflection. In a career defined by visibility, he now prioritizes privacy. Fatherhood is not an extension of his fame, but its counterbalance. It grounds him in reality, reminding him that the most meaningful audience exists at home, not in theaters. The sky as sanctuary aviation has long been John Travolta's refuge. Flying offers focus, discipline, and quiet freedom unavailable in public life. He is a trained pilot with deep respect for the craft, approaching aviation with seriousness rather than novelty. His Florida home, designed with direct runway access, reflects this integration of passion and lifestyle. For Travolta, flight is not escape from responsibility, but return to control. He has spoken about the clarity found in the cockpit, where attention is absolute and distractions disappear. Aviation also connects him to service, as he's participated in humanitarian flights and educational outreach. Sharing this passion with his children extends its meaning beyond self. The sky represents balance, movement without noise, distance without isolation. In a life shaped by attention, aviation provides silence. It is not about luxury, but alignment. Flying allows Travolta to remain present, focused, and grounded in a world that rarely slows down. A legacy defined by balance. At 71, John Travolta stands as a figure shaped by extremes, yet guided by balance. His life includes extraordinary success, public scrutiny, personal loss, and quiet resilience. He no longer seeks validation through visibility. Instead, he lives deliberately, choosing projects, routines, and causes that reflect his values. His legacy is not confined to dance floors or box office numbers, but to endurance and adaptability. Travolta demonstrates that growth continues long after fame peaks. Belief, grief, and reflection shaped him into a man who understands both light and shadow. His story reminds us that identity is not static. It evolves through experience, humility, and care. In an industry obsessed with reinvention, Travolta's greatest achievement may be learning when not to perform. His journey endures not because it is flawless, but because it is human, marked by courage, restraint, and the quiet strength to live authentically beyond applause.